The pick rest is a basic picking technique that is absolutely indispensable to guitar players, especially in the beginning, but understanding the foundations of it will really truly help make you aware of the guitar while you're playing, unlike just about any exercise will do. And unfortunately, this exercise is not taught by a lot of guitar teachers, probably because they think it's so simple, but yet it's such a necessary part. Not only is it not really very simple in the beginning for beginners, but it's absolutely crucial to understanding how to approach the strings. So we're going to cover that, okay? Now, the idea of picking the strings may seem very natural and very easy. I'm sure you've done it. You've taken a pick and you've hit the strings to some degree before, and that's great. But in this case here, what we're doing with the pick rest is we're doing more of a controlled type of pick. And you're going to see that you may have a little bit of an issue with this because I've seen many other students have issues with it. And because of that, that's good news. If you end up having an issue with it, that's great news. If you don't have an issue with it, that's great news too. Then this will be very easy for you. But for folks that have a problem with the pick rest, what that means is we are already tackling technique and getting to something that's going to make you a superior player, literally just because of this, okay? Now here's the deal. Usually when people go to pick a string, they'll kind of whack at it like this. Or sometimes they'll pick up, or they'll use their thumb, what have you. We're going to use a pick, and hopefully throughout the program here you're going to use a pick as well. You don't have to, but it will really help with the volume of the guitar, and it will help with your tone, okay? Because if you use your fingertips without using the nails, it tends to dull the sound a little bit. Most pros don't do that. Don't do that, okay? There's a handful of guitar players over the many, many years that have done that. Obviously, if you have nails or some sort of finger picks or something, you can also finger pick. But just using the fingers themselves is not very common. It's not to say you can't do it, but hopefully you're using a pick for this exercise, okay? And even if you're planning on doing mainly finger picking, I would suggest that you use a pick as well. Get good at both. It's important to do both to be a versatile player. And there's times where you're really going to need to do it, and there's times where you'll probably want to do finger picking. But make sure that you at least do this exercise and understand how to use a pick. Okay, so the idea is obviously you know how to use a pick and that you can just kind of hit the strings, but we're going to do something more controlled, and it's going to go like this. Basically, you're going to take your pick and you're going to place it, you're going to rest it on the second string, okay? Now, instead of just kind of picking out like this away from the guitar, or picking up, and basically I'm coming up at an angle instead of just straight down or up, I'm kind of coming away from the guitar. And that's how a lot of people pick a lot of times. They'll kind of pluck away like that. But what we want to do is we want to pluck straight down to where when we pick, the pick actually rests. So watch this. So I'm picking and I'm letting the pick automatically slip off of the second string. So I'm applying pressure right now, and I'm kind of pulling away just a little bit so that the tip of the pick will slip off of that string, producing a sound for that second string, and then letting the pick fall where it may. In this case, I'm kind of holding the pick at an angle, maybe a 45-degree angle. This is not exact science here. As long as it's at an angle so that the pick naturally rests on that first string, that's what we're looking for. If you're missing it sometimes, go ahead and try to do a more a steeper angle, okay? Just like that. Okay, and then what I want you to do is I want you to go through each string doing this. So obviously the first string we don't have a string to rest on, so you don't have to do that. So start at the second string. And the idea is you're not trying to do this really super fast. You're just really trying to observe. What I really want you to do is just take your time to look and observe with your eyes, with your ears, with the feel, So the tactile feel of what that feels like for the pick to hit that next string, you can feel it resting. Hopefully what it's going to do for you is it's going to take a lot of obligation of this hand to stay in control. It's going to take that away where you don't have to do it, because the pick rest is a technique that once developed really well allows you to not have to think, lets you go on autopilot with your picking to where you don't have to be concerned with, am I going to run into another string? You're not going to, because you're using this picking technique, okay? Once you do the second string, I want you to go to the third string and practice that a bit. How much? Just do it to where it feels comfortable, to where you're not making mistakes while doing it, okay? You don't have to spend hours doing this. If you were to spend a solid 5 or 10 minutes doing this with really concentrated effort, it would probably get the job done, okay? And you're gonna do all the strings. Go to 4, go to 5, go to 6, okay? Then, now here's where it starts getting more interesting. Now what I want you to do is do 2 strings at a time. And then you'll do 3 strings, 4 strings, and 5 strings. So here's how it's going to be different. In this case here, I'm going to pick strings 3 and 2. And the object here is that you want to pick both strings so it has somewhat of a one sound. We're trying to stay away from this sound, but we hear the notes individually. We're more going for and you're going to notice that this starts becoming a little bit more difficult when we start adding this second string, okay? When we add 2 strings, or add a second string to the first string, okay? So you're going to start noticing this, and when you do, that's good, because it's going to make you more keen. It's going to make you more aware, like, oh wow, I'm overshooting that, or I'm getting that sound that Eric was talking about. I'm getting that sound. I don't want to get that sound. I want to have more of a solid. And if you start doing that and you find that you're hitting that third string, well, then what you need to do is you need to compensate. You need to adjust. And that means either you're going to be lighter with your touch, or you're going to be at more of an angle. Nonetheless, whenever you're doing this, this is great news, because you're getting your technique adjusted, okay? This is basically like you're tweaking the knobs of an amplifier or something to get the sound just right, but you're doing this with your picking technique. And guess what? When it comes to playing guitar, picking is half of the game. It's half of the battle, right? Fretting is the other half of the battle. Obviously, we've got our theoretical knowledge. We need to know what's going on. But in regards to actually playing the guitar, actually physically doing something, 50%, 50%, okay? So, absolutely crucial that you understand how to do this and that this feels good to you, because it's going to absolutely make such a huge difference when you're doing any sort of picking, strumming, or anything, okay? So you're going to do the 2 strings until that feels comfortable. Now you notice I've got my fingers kind of tucked underneath that first string. Totally acceptable to do that. You don't have to. If you want to rest your fingers on the pick guard like that, or on the face of the guitar, you can do that. On the top of the guitar. Totally fine if you do that. Or if you want to just have your hand kind of floating in the air, you can do that as well. Now, most people will find that that's a little harder because you don't have a pivot point. You don't have an anchor, something to hold down to make that sound better, okay? Now you notice just now I did 2 notes, and so I adjusted my technique right away. Now this is something that I don't practice anymore, and in fact you just won't have to over some time, but right in the beginning, absolutely super important, okay? So you're going to do 2 strings, then 3 strings, and remember, whenever you're doing this exercise, there has to be a string to rest on every single time. So for the 2, you're going to have 3 and 2, 4 and 3, 5 and 4, 6 and 5. Okay, but you won't do 1 and 2. And then you'll do 3 strings, 4 strings, and then 5 strings. Okay, we won't do 6 strings because we don't have a place to rest after that. But the point of this is that you really want to get, it's going to get you light with your touch in regards to picking, and it's just going to be just the right amount. Really what we're looking for when we're playing guitar, both left and right hand, is we're looking for just the right amount, okay? It's not too much that we're pressing down, it's not too hard that we're picking, it's not too light that we're fretting, not too light that we're picking. It's just the right amount. And this is how you're going to learn that in regards to your picking. All right, so you know what your homework is. Do this with 1 string, 2 strings, 3 strings, 4 strings, and 5 strings. Take your time with this. The more that you concentrate, the more that you just kind of rest in your playing and really have fun with this. And with each lesson that you go through, just take your time and enjoy the ride. If you do that, you're going to be an absolutely exceptional guitar player. If you're always trying to get to that place that you're not at yet, it's going to be very frustrating, because I've been playing for over 30 years now and I'm still not at the place that I want to be at. But I don't think about it like that anymore. I used to, and it would frustrate me very much. Anymore, I really just enjoy the process as I'm playing. I see that I'm becoming a better player even over 30 years later. I see that I'm becoming a better player, always getting better, as long as I'm practicing. If I put it down, I can see me slipping backwards in regards to my technique. I still got it up here, but the technique. So you always have to practice. So make sure that you do these exercises before the next video. And let's keep going.